Alrighty. All right. Welcome everybody to the DeFi Angels presentation and questions for the RBX Samurai token. I would like to start off with allowing the RBX team to introduce themselves if you'll be speaking tonight.
No problem. I'm Masterminder of the Oracle, and I run content creation strategy and client acquisition for RBXS. And we have Samurai J.
Yeah, hi, Samurai J. I run the voice, voice and video chats. We do these on a weekly basis for our token. And anything else they need help with as far as moderation of chat.
And then we have Keymaker.
Hey, how's it going? I'm also in the voice, but I also work on the side with Shale Strategy. Yeah, nice to meet everyone.
Nice to meet you too.
And then we have Neo.
Yep, I'm Neo. Run Shilling, head of Shill Strategy. Anything Shilling related across all socials. Get your brand out there. But head of Shilling over here.
And Psychor is one of our current developers.
Hey guys, how you doing? Yeah, this is Psychor. I run the RBX side, basically the tech side. We provide tech support. Not tech support, but just we build the tech and stuff that works for a lot of the clients and stuff like that, and help run that part in. And we build the software and stuff.
Awesome. I appreciate the introductions. You got a very large team. With that, let's lead into, how did you guys end up with, maybe talk a little bit about the backstory and where you guys are at and where you guys see your project going in the near future.
Yeah, I can jump into that. So the beginning story is some of our team originally did marketing for Shiba Inu and helped build out the Facebook of that coin. And then we worked for some of us with less experience, some with more experience. We didn't have a coin at the time, but we started marketing for coins and getting paid week to week and kind of getting experience with what works in coins, what doesn't work, the different types of marketing between like professional and meme marketing and kind of crazy marketing. And we worked for all different types of coins. We probably got up to about 30. And then at some point, we're like, maybe we should start our own coin and have a marketing team behind it. And in the meantime, we came up with this like hierarchy system where anyone within our group could move up the ranks and get paid. And for the last 5 or 6 months, we've been kind of perfecting that system. And now that we combined with RBX and the dev of RBX, he's been able to kind of perfectly optimize our payment system and set us up with a solid coin and leverage liquidity. And now our goal is to become kind of like the perfect marketing team from all our experience. And more recently, we've been running analytics on a bunch of call channels and influencers and YouTubers trying to find the best out there. And we're finding that like a lot aren't even real. They're just like copies or like piles of bots. So we're digging in, finding like what marketing really works, including like getting on this AMA today. And we're going to keep digging and improving and making that perfect.
All right, that's your story is really interesting, and kind of how you guys started out grinding, figuring out what works, coming to the initial coin, figuring out the business model, and leading up to your I guess now you're working with RBX, and now you're got that even greater optimization where you're leveraging, the analysis of these chats and these individuals. So sure, just in general, your services become a bit more valuable with that insight to know what works and what doesn't work, in terms of, we've all seen, how things have gone over the past year in terms of, sometimes you can see what works, sometimes you can't. So really enjoyed you going over that. Can you tell me a little bit about how your payments or your incentives work for your marketers? I'm very interested in how that's structured.
Yeah. So you mean our team members that do the marketing?
Yes.
Okay.
Or in
Yeah.
general, like maybe how are incentives built into the token? Are they earning the underlying asset? Are they earning ETH? And how is that validated? How is their work validated?
Yeah, that's actually one of the things we're like most proud of, and it's evolved a lot over time. So you basically start as a noble, and that's anyone that owns like any amount of the coin. And then if you want to start working and helping the coin, and you show that like you're a good moderator, you have the potential to move up to the elite level. And the elite level basically starts training on shilling and content creation, all these other things, and basically picks a department that they like to work in. And if they're good enough in that department, they move up to Samurai. And Samurai is the first paid position. And they get a loan or an allotment. So they don't own this percentage of supply. It's like loaned to them of 0.10% of supply. And then they basically they collect staking on that 8% monthly, and then it goes up from there. If you're one of the top samurai and you want to move to like a management level, you move up to daimyo, and then it's 0.25% of supply, and you're staking 8% monthly. And then from there, if you're one of the top daimyos and you move up one step further, you're running like the security team or a social media platform or something like that, and then it's 0.5% of supply. And then finally, if you're running multiple shoguns or have a lot of responsibility, you move up to king or queen, and then that's 1% of supply with the 8% staking. And then anyone who just owns the coin and is a noble or elite could always stake any ownership of their coin for 4% monthly APR.
Got it. It's interesting. And are you seeing that, since it is your business model, it's very interesting to me, your token model in general. Do you see that, over the past of, refining that in the back end, many increase in like morale or, general acceptance from your organization? It's very interesting. It's very DAO-esque, right? So is there anything or, elements of a DAO within your organization?
We basically take ideas from all levels of the company, like noble and up. Some of our best ideas have always come from the samurai, and anything that, because we have large numbers. Right now we have about 50 samurai. I'd say close to 10 daimyo, and then 8 shoguns and 5 kings. So with those 50 samurai, there's so many of them, and they're in the trenches, like doing a lot of the content creation, the shilling, so they see what's working and what's not working. So we're always talking to them and saying, like, what do you see working? What do you see not working? Like, what do you see that could potentially help our company? One of our samurai, Kodo, reached out to us and said, like, there's this Lunar Crush program that'll tell you where you currently are in statistics and marketing. So we signed up with Lunar Crush, and 2 days later, it said we were number 1 on Polygon, number 1 on AVAX, number
Very
3
nice.
on BSC. And without signing up for that, we never would have known that.
No, it's really good to hear. You know, you kind of have like a little innovation hub within your own marketing, you know, developments outside of understanding, you know, maybe what is effective for marketing, but you know, also for projects that develop, right? That's something
Yep.
that we get out of a lot of these AMAs, and it's awesome to hear that you guys have that same effect within your own organization.
Yeah, it's this idea of continuous improvement, whereby
Yes,
we're always getting feedback from our community and also our team, and then trying to improve. You never arrive feeling right. You always try to improve to the next level every day.
I improve. It's an interesting remark. You know, it reminds me of like quality management systems, continuous improvement. But you know, applied to how your organization runs. It's it exists with organizations currently, but you know, doing it in a business format, professionally through DeFi, it's impressive. And you know, this will be my last question. And it's kind of more to go over what you guys are expecting to accomplish within Q1 of 2022. I see on your roadmap that you know you have a couple of different blockchains that you guys are going to be launching on. If you want to go over how that's going to be, released over the next couple of months, that'd be
No problem. Yeah. Actually, Sakor, do you want to talk at all on the release of the blockchain? But I can jump into the timing of it more.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, because we're handling that side of stuff. So I think from our original conversation when you and I were talking about that, I know you guys they were mostly like more on the Ethereum side and stuff like that. But I think as everybody has noticed in the DeFi, well, crypto space in general, but the DeFi specifically space, just the number of L2s that have popped up to create that solution for just these enormous gas fees on the main net. It's really been able to let these other networks take hold and also like remove some of that excess load from the main net on Ethereum. And I think that they've made it in such a way that it's a lot easier than it used to be. So that's my preamble there. I'll get to the chase. So right now, the top 4 chains are Ethereum, of course, and Binance. Binance does, I think, about half of what Ether does, or the mainnet. Mainnet does somewhere between 2 to 4 billion, depending on what sort of day or if the market's dumping. And then Binance, I think it hits somewhere between 1 to 2 billion. So and also the way that capital moves in Binance, it's a lot faster. So what that does is that it opens up a wider market for a project. So if you're able to not just deploy on additional chains, but expand into them and make your economy, like make your project work across these different chains, you're literally just expanding your potential market for people to be exposed to your project, to your token, to your business model, your products and services. So that's kind of the approach that we're taking with this. On not trying to plug on, but on our end, we are on 2 chains right now, on Ethereum and BSC, and so RBXS is also going to be on the Binance Smart Chain, and we're going to be expanding them across 2 more chains in tandem with us as well. The next one after that is more than likely going to be AVAX, and then Phantom, and then lastly, just because it hasn't moved as much volume wise, we're going to be targeting Matic as well. So those are like the top 5, I would say, right now, as far as like the amount of volume that moves around. There's a few other chains that are still good, but those are probably the main ones to focus on. So over the next, and Oracle will have better timing on that, or more details on that. We'll be expanding the token across those chains, and it's done in such a way where it doesn't really matter where you buy it, like which one of those chains you buy it. You can move it effortlessly across any of the chains. You can hold it on whichever side you want, and it gives people an opportunity to take advantage of the products and services without having to pay those crazy ether gas fees, you know? So
Understood. When you go to these, when you release on BSC, do you notice, any specific like different, I know I said this was going to be my last question on the last one, but when you go over to BSC, do you notice, different trading habits and or, like general market, interactions between ETH and BSC? And just in particular, kind of just to see that, in terms of, fraudulent activity, BSC has about 3,500 scams a month, where you have ETH that has around 500. Do you see like the need for, education on these blockchains where, maybe, a little bit more of what is, more level playing field in terms of how do you get individuals to recognize and see value that's being built rather than just getting into an asset, riding it. You guys see anything or plan on doing anything to spread education through what you guys are doing?
yeah, so
Yeah.
you want
Yeah, I can jump into that a little bit. Most coins have like a set dev team of a group of people. We see in BSC, they try to pick the right name so their coin will be popular, and they just like throw marketing at it. Our goal is to basically everyone who comes in to our coin, add them to our team, and kind of help talk, teach, and educate them. And one of the things we really push, and like the coins that we market for, they have to be a use case coin. They have to be a coin that generates revenue, and that revenue needs to go back into the coin. So we kind of teach our entire team that. So anyone that comes into kind of our crypto environment kind of gets pulled into that. And we teach them about like some of the products and services that generate revenue in crypto. And for a lot of people we run into, that's kind of a unique idea that a crypto coin has to have like a revenue or profit mechanism that feeds back into the coin to keep it growing. So even if like nobody's buying the coin, it would still move up on its own.
Yep.
And we'll continue to like educate our like entire group about that. But it's a good point. We don't currently like educate outside of our coin, and that could be a good thing we can start doing in the future, is kind of go to other communities and try to help educate them or educate through our marketing.
No, that's where I was headed, and I appreciate that. But with that, Michael, if you are there, I'll let you take over, and then our deal flow committee can ask questions from there.
Hey everyone, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I have a few questions. One, I'll start off with, I know that you mentioned the hierarchy in which everyone is getting a percent of supply. So what's kind of like that higher level conversation that you're having within yourself, like within your specific ranks, and then the ranks that are below? Because it seems like there's this pyramid-esque style of acquisition of percent of supply in terms of payment, which is requiring also 8% to be staked for that APR. So how do you guys go about, since that's the form of payment that you're choosing to work with, how do you guys work with selling on the chart and whatnot if your team isn't being paid in either Ethereum or some form of a stable coin?
So you're right. Right now, everybody would be paid in RBXS. and we started with excess supply to basically add to those staking pools. And the interesting thing is, if we paid people in ETH or if we paid people in BNB, it would be the same as them taking their supply and kind of selling. It would still push the chart down in equal manner. I believe the timing would just be different. So the way we saw it is, if we give them more RBXS, they may hold, which would cause the chart to not sell off, or they may sell it. So we saw it as an advantage to pay in RBXS rather than ETH. But in the future, as our team gets larger and larger, we may completely run out of supply. And if that happens, we would take basically ETH and supply that we were paid from marketing customers and drip and sell it off to build up an ETH pool, so we could pay our team and staking pools, and we would pay out in ETH.
Gotcha. Okay, so that would be something down the road. It's just a matter of the diluted supply in which you're trying to get out. So, okay, I can see that. Now my next question is, in terms of payment for your services. Obviously, each service is going to have a different payment or payment amount or contract, however you guys decide to market it. You know, are you guys doing things in contractually, as in X amount of time? Is it are you guys paid in a lump sum? How are you taking your payment as well? Is it in native token of these specific projects? Is it pre-sale slots? Are you being paid in a stable coin, or are you being paid in a large cap coin?
Pretty much a lot of what you mentioned is how we've been paid in the past, but we have decided to avoid any new launches because of the risk of a new launch and the risk of losing our reputation. So most of the coins we've worked for recently and into the ongoing future, we're going to target coins with the stable product, the revenue stream, the profit, and it's like not a new launch. And based on that, we've been paid in USDT, we've been paid in ETH, and we've been paid in a percentage of supply. Our target is always to get a percentage of supply, and that's because our team works much harder for the coin. If we know that we have supply in the coin, and the harder we work and help that coin be successful, and even after we stop working for it, we want them to be successful, that it's much better for us and for them, and it increases the value of what we got paid. So it definitely incentivizes our whole team.
So how do you foresee being essentially a conflict of interest to motivate your team to not sell on a coin, but still tell them that they're looking to get paid? So they're being paid in a token to work for, to push the price up, which is incentivizing them to hold. So then they're diamond handing because they're looking for a bigger payday. But then if for some reason a catastrophic event happens, now all of a sudden hypothetically, let's say the coin price goes down, now all of a sudden they really don't have much worth paying themselves out. So you kind of like, how would you navigate that specific situation?
That actually happened to us. So we evolved our payment system one step further. Basically, now we put 100% of the revenue that we're earning from clients goes back into the coin, which pushes up the price of our coin. Previous to that, we would take everything we earned from a client and split it across all our top members and basically give them the coin. And some of them would sell it quick and some would not sell it quick. Now our target is to take that supply that we earn from marketing revenue and have it drip slowly over time, and we'll use it for buybacks and put that percentage of supply back into the staking pool so there's no more like conflicts of interest or kind of messiness to it. It's more like planned out and steady, if that makes sense.
I could chime in on that part real quick as well. It's something that Oracle and I have discussed as well. Honestly, one of the coolest things that I liked about them and Oracle, just them bringing on board, is that they mostly focused on, as far as payment, it would be in project tokens, which to me, it just shows that the skill level and the confidence that they have in their technique, and well, just their whole strategy. It just shows me, it's like, okay, yeah, then they definitely know what they're doing, or at least think they do, and know that it's gonna go well. But there is definitely an issue with, like, if you pay off, and because it does happen with projects, you pay marketers and stuff like that, or influencers and tokens, and then they just kind of just drop everything. And while that doesn't seem to have happened too much, one of the things that to be implemented into this is our trade execution services. Like, and what I'm getting at with that is we have the infrastructure to be able to, like Oracle mentioned, to drip out the token in such a way where it doesn't affect the price. It doesn't hurt the chart. And then overall, like at the end of that, you can then also use that for buybacks and bolstering the value of the RBXS token itself, and it maintains it just increases what everybody owns value wise, and it's also healthier for both sides, right? So both the client and also the marketing team as well.
I think one thing. One thing that really changed when we kind of merged with RBX is now that, you say you get a client where you are worried about that. Well, now we have RBX, we have Sidecore, we have the ability to offer these new clients Solidity solutions. And one solution would be a coin to offer a staking pool for more people to hold that token. So I think we have a whole array of things that we can offer to these tokens that we end up marketing from a Solidity standpoint, and the bridges and everything that we're able to offer. So those are a lot of new reasons if we promote a new coin, that if they take the offer to do staking, now the people within that token and even the people that promote it would be staking as well. So I think it was a great partnership in terms of creating more utility for any token that we touch in the future.
That's awesome. I like the how well thought out it is in terms of utilizing the pools. And then my last question, and then we can open this up to the committee, is what is your vetting process for these projects? Like, what standards are you holding them to, other than they're well established and have something for long term? Like, what do you guys look for? What is that process for you?
So my background is I have 10 years of stock and experience, and for the past 3 years, once a week, the group that I was in would meet with CEOs of companies, because they had a group, like a large group of high net worth individuals that had enough power where they could just meet with CEO after CEO, week after week. And my job was to basically help vet them, like understand them as people, quickly analyze their products and services, determine if there was future profit potential in their products and services, how popular their products are currently, and how popular they would be in the future, and then determine if there was basically anything sneaky going on, or like the numbers and the financials matched what the CEO was saying. In crypto, it's definitely a lot crazier, but we can meet with large numbers of people and determine quickly whether they can like say what they're doing, and analyze their products very quickly. one of the problems we were running into is we would have to meet with like 100 crypto companies before we found like one legitimate one that was going to hold up and be kind of strong long term. But now with our strategy of kind of like reaching out to a lot of these like call groups, influencers, and others, is they're starting to like let us know. They're like, we kind of think we have a project that might like meet your needs and like what you're looking for. So instead of talking to like 30 or 40 or 100 to find one good one, they're starting to help us find like more solid coins right away. So we could kind of search through like 3 or 4 or 5 before we find a good one. But it's like analyzing the team, talking to every last person on the team, and then like analyzing their product. We don't like to work with clients unless they have like a fully developed product or at least a prototype, because we're finding like a lot of coins in this space have they say we're going to make this product eventually. That's very common, but we're like, yeah, we can't work for you until you have a product and it exists. And then I think that's most of it. And now that we have Psycor on board, we can pull him to kind of vet DeFi products, because we basically call him the architect. He's always creating product after product. He understands how complex DeFi products work. So if it's outside my or others' area of expertise that usually analyze these clients, we could pull him in to ensure the product they created is their own product and it's not just some copy they're pulling in to kind of trick us, and it matches up with what they're saying. And we do find that the companies that have a legitimate product that's bringing in revenue, a lot of those coins are legitimate, because the fake coins and the scammers, they're not going to put in all that work to kind of like rob people or rug pull. They usually pick like a fake name and they say, we're going to make this product in the future, and that's their scheme. It wouldn't make sense to like design an actual product and like turn it on and start making revenue from it and then try to like rob people with that. It's possible, but like it probably doesn't happen too often.
Gotcha. And then this will be my last question, and then everyone else can ask questions. So you guys refer to yourselves as a business for what you're creating. Are you guys registered? Are you an LLC?
No, we're not an LLC right now, but Psycor, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah. So one of the things that we did with the brand and the merger and whatnot, we try to keep everything like the marketing department is RBX Samurai. We're RBX, I guess, and it's all under one brand of RBX. So it's like the umbrella brand. We actually do have an LLC. It's been registered. It's RBX Carbon LLC. So Carbon is technically the technology provider for the RBX and RBXS products. So yes, we do have legal stuff. But, it's just something that you kind of have to do, I guess, until things like DAOs get a little bit more, I guess, legal precedence and stuff. I know there's a few states that are handling that pretty well and legalizing that, or giving decentralized organizations like a legal voice. But at the end of the day, you still need a human like to be a signer on stuff. So that's kind of, so we do our best to maintain everything in a decentralized fashion and in the spirit of crypto. But I wish that that everything can be done that way. But there are certain parties, clients and things like that prefer doing things under the traditional system, and that's understandable. And there's nothing to hide. We're all professionals, so it gives us that avenue to do it that way.
Yeah, for sure. Are any of you guys doxxed? Would any of you consider doxing? Since we're talking about professionals. And that's not a sleight of hand, I swear. That's not a slight, I swear.
Listen, buddy, you know.
I'm just a friendly. I swear I'm a friendly.
we might have a return question for you. So like building up like smaller market caps, like 10 to 100 million market cap, you run into like a lot of shaky and kind of crazy situations in crypto where if you were doxxed, it would like cause you a lot of problems. So my question to you is if you get to like 100 million market cap and larger, do like less of those situations come up, or is crypto still kind of a wild ride with a lot of crazy people where it's safer to not be doxxed?
I honestly think that in crypto, especially in these micro caps, I think at the end of the day, like no matter what your market cap is at, you're gonna have batshit crazy people. Like I'm sure, there's plenty of people that send Vitalik tons of emails and whatever, fan mail, hate mail, whatever you want to call it. Same thing for XRP. They're all over the place with their litigation. Yep. So like, I think that it's not so much about the market cap size. I think that it's about the level of, about the intention that you're setting forward and the level of commitment and buy-in that you have from your community. Because, when you go to these conferences and you shake hands with people and you have these higher level conversations, like everything's out on the table. Like people can feel one another. They can look in your eyes. Like it becomes a deeper understanding of when we call ourselves professionals in this space, when we talk about dealing in business and talk about building trust in that relationship, like it's all out there. So I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know that market cap is necessarily the appropriate judge of whether or not like it's quote unquote safe to dox. I think it's just a matter of a question of how much do you value someone's identity if they're calling what they're creating a business, and how much do you value putting your name on the line for the business that you believe in.
Makes sense.
To chime in, these are conversations that I've had before in public spaces as well, and also in private, and that is definitely a consideration. I've been involved in my background stems not just in development but also in finance for quite a bit, and it is important to understand who the people running a company is. I mean, who the people running a company are and what their background is and their experience, portfolio, etc. So those are valid concerns. There are people that will choose not to invest at all or buy in. See, that's another thing. I'll get to that, but they will choose not to become a holder because of a lack of doxing and whatnot. The thing with DeFi is that it does provide an avenue to build actual businesses. Like if you run a project like a business, you have revenue, you have a business plan, and you're producing products and distributing them and being able to sell the products and the services, you're generating revenue, and the value of your token is not coming from Ponzinomics or a Ponzi game. And nothing against that, honestly. For me, I don't. If people want to develop things like that or participate in them, like for me, I don't think that should be restricted. But you can't call transaction taxes revenue because you're just shuffling money around, and at one point in time in the future, it may not go well. Eventually, it typically falls apart. But at a certain point, there comes opportunities with larger investors or just just different. I don't want to say a different caliber, but it's more like there might be people that may be interested in getting involved, but they have hesitation due to that part, just because of legal protections, and and I totally understand that. So it's not like, at least me personally, I would never like. I can't say that I would never do it, but there's ways to do it where you could protect yourself on a personal level, and also be able to conduct business with those folks that would prefer to have a more doxed experience, I suppose. But the reason for maintaining anonymity is not just the hate mail and stuff, but we're at the bleeding edge of the financial space. The stuff that I'm developing, the stuff that we're developing here is, there's no legal precedent yet as to whether we're allowed to do it. And you have to use funny words like they're not investors, they're holders. This isn't, you're not generating, like, you're not participating in an enterprise, you're purchasing a utility token. These are governance tokens, it's not stock. Like Uniswap does the same thing, the way that they've structured their stuff. And like now we're probably going to find out pretty soon whether that's going to work out, because they're incorporated as a software house that develops open source software, and that's it. And then there's a DAO that handles the governance tokens, but they have managed to keep that like that. So far so good. We'll see, but before I guess if you keep going any further on that, but yeah, I don't mind doing it if it makes sense. But I would rather not come up and go up on like Up Only TV or something and just be like, okay, this is who I am, because I don't see the value in that. I would rather docs privately with the interested parties and just do it that way.
Yeah, and I think the whole crypto sphere is so big that you can find your niches. People will run to what they think are good projects, whether or not the people are docs or not. I know that there's different levels there, but there's a lot of projects that people are in and they don't have any idea who's put them together, but they want to be in really good projects, and people have been in them for years. So as far as me, same thing as Psycor. Many years in the industry that I'm in, and I can't be docs if I want to keep my day job. So that's something that I have to consider.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to go ahead and pass it and open it up to the committee.
Hi.
Hello.
How's it going?
Hi.
I'm excited for you guys' launch tomorrow, and congratulations on that. I just had one question for you guys. I know you guys merged with RBX, obviously, you're RBX Samurai. I just was wondering if I could find out why you guys merged, and was wondering if I could get some particulars on that.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So there's actually a lot of reasons we merged. A few of the bigger ones is early on in our career, we struggled with finding not only strong developers, but strong developers we can trust. And we worked for a lot of companies that had maybe one good product, and then all of a sudden we came across RBX with a very solid dev and a whole array of products. And we, after talking many times, we basically came to the agreement that basically both of our teams get along and we could help them market their products for a very long time. So we came to the agreement that we could make commissions off selling their products, and they could help us design the perfect payment system in crypto. Like we had all these ideas on making like the ultimate payment system that would attract like better skill and harder working individuals and reward them, and take people completely from outside our coin and give them a chance to move up the ranks. And Psycor and RBX basically said, we'll create whatever you need for that, but we'll also list you on all the other popular chains so people on AVAX, Polygon, BSC, and ETH could all buy your coin and all buy it in one place. So the match was kind of perfect to kind of, it kind of brought us like a year in the future, building us the perfect payment system, listing us on the chains, making sure our leverage was perfect, and giving us access to products. And for them, they get the ultimate like marketing team. So it was a great combination that could help us grow into basically a much larger coin.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much. I appreciate it.
Hello. I have a question. I was looking at the chart on the east side, and I see some ups, some bumps, and I was curious to know is when you had not a dump because it's not really a dump in a chart, but less better value. Was the uptrend due to your own marketing on your own token?
So we have a very strange time as a marketing token. Like we're finding that a lot of investors in crypto are very like launch focused. And because of that, or when there's like large bursts of marketing or a new marketing team is going to start marketing a coin. So for other marketing coins we marketed for, as soon as we got on board, we saw them start to do really well. And as our network started buying and we got more attention to those coins, they did great. But there was always confusion around our coin and like why people should buy it. And now that we have the staking and we're going to be listed on BSC and Polygon and AVAX, there's a lot more advantages to owning our coin. And like all the marketing revenue that we get goes back into buybacks that push up our coin. So now there'll be less confusion. But that's actually why we're targeting the launch tomorrow. We're putting a lot behind it to basically show our marketing power. This bridging we're doing to BSC tomorrow. And it's basically a show of power. And we're going to do a lot of analytics on the day to show what we're capable of. And then we're going to use that to show to other clients. The strange thing here is a lot of other coins, they just have their coin and it's all focused on like promoting their coin and pushing the price up. And what do we do next to hold the price up or like add something else? We've actually done all the work to build our marketing the way we want it. And we have everything set up to do that marketing. Now it's about like working hard so we can get larger and larger clients. And we hope that as we lock in larger clients or we get small clients with high potential, that we can kind of push the limits for and help them get to their true value, that our shareholders or our coin owners will value our coin more and buy more. Sorry, that was a long answer.
Okay, thank you.
I did want to chime in on that part real quick. Yeah, Psychor always has a friggin' opinion. But this is something that we were talking about the other day. I don't even remember. Oh, and then an AMA yesterday just for another project. And if you look at people do focus on price a lot. If you've been with our project since the beginning, for example, through all the clients and the partners that we've brought on board with the staking pools, the price has been okay, right? I mean, it goes up, it goes down. That's kind of how it goes. But overall, the I guess first generation holder, I don't know if that's the right term, but the initial holders in the first group, if they've been participating in the staking pools, being active in the community, there's been a return throughout all that, and that's based off of the services that get provided. And what Oracle's getting at with that is the token doesn't have to go up in price for people to benefit, because if you as a token holder get to participate in the share of the revenue that gets generated, then it just becomes something like how in traditional finance you have dividend stocks. And you can take a look at that with the DEX tools token, for example. You do have to have a certain threshold of ownership in their token. But their token is pretty stable, but people still hold it because they get airdropped every month a certain percentage of revenue. And then over time, I mean, that's your ROI right there. So there's different aspects to take a look at it, and we do expect growth in the price side, just simply because of a reduction in circulating supply, and as people start realizing the value that the token has, it just naturally goes up. But then you also have those ancillary benefits as well.
I agree on that. I have in my portfolio only tokens who have a revenue streams. So I stopped to have any shitcoin and only bet on this one. So
makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm definitely guilty of paying attention to price, I would admit. I have a question. I think it's really bullish that you guys are looking at cross-chain. I think that's a really wise move, and I'm interested to see how it plays out. I'm curious about your bridge and how soon will it be live? You know, I've watched other projects go to other chains, and one of the things that I like as a trader about multi-chains is obviously arbitrage opportunities. And you know, I think that one thing I noticed about having an early bridge, especially during the hype of a launch, like you mentioned, is that the arbitrage can be so extreme that it ends up leaving a lot of people on the new chain feeling really burnt if they entered soon. So I'm just curious if you are going to have that bridge live right away, and if so, for the people listening, just to be aware of the fact that if you try and buy a launch as soon as it launches, not only are you likely to buy high on the first candle, but you also might be facing the risk of being dumped on by nasty traders like myself who would take an arbitrage opportunity.
So that's a really good point, and that's something that I advise the clients about, that we bring on board to open up bridges and stuff for them. One of the most, like, our bridge is already functional. Like right now you can, like, it's the infrastructure is already there. And then on launch tomorrow, you'll be able to bridge very easily. One of the best parts of feedback that we get from folks is that the bridging actually is pretty quick. So that, you know, that's always an advantage. And one, yes, what you just mentioned, you know, launching on a new chain, it's something that I've experienced dozens of times. You know, the price just jumps. Even if you're just doing like a token swap, you're like, let's say, upgrading a project's contract. That happens either way. It's just the hype behind it, I guess. So it's a really volatile time, and one of the things that we do is initiate like a price control strategy for typically the first hours is really where you need it, and what that helps us do is maintain a leveled rise across both tokens so that they're evened out, so that you don't have that, you know, so that people don't have that experience of buying 200-300% above what the price, you know, is on the other chain, for example, because either they're not aware or they just want to get in, whatever. So, you know, you can't save them all, but you try your best in order for people not to get hurt, because that's always been a big thing with me, you know, when we've launched on different chains and stuff like that. So so if you are planning on arbitraging, there will be opportunities, but there are price controls, volatility controls, at least for the first hour or so, to ensure that it's not, so that people don't get totally screwed. You know, it's what it boils down to.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, I guess in terms of, just since the DeFi Angels like to focus on education, like one of the things that you have to learn, like you said, people get so hyped and focused on launches of projects, and if you've been in the space very long, you learn that it's pretty risky to try and buy the hype. And often a better strategy is to just sit back and watch how the launch goes, and then enter if you're really bullish on a project long term, or at least average out your buys, which on Binance is very cheap to do. You can make up a lot of small buys and not worry about gas. So thanks.
Yeah, for sure. That's very true.
Hey, I have a couple of questions. First, on your website, you said that you marketed for over 30 different tokens. Can you list the most successful ones that you marketed for? And if you can add a little bit of data to that, like what the numbers were, but, you can keep it brief.
Yeah, no problem. Some of the last ones, most recent, were Infinity Token and Quid Ika, and I think they were close to 1 million market cap when we started marketing them, and I believe we got them close to around 10 million, and then none of them like crashed after we stopped marketing them because we marketed them in a way that we showed what made them valuable and it attracted long-term investors. So there wasn't a ton of like new investors and a ton of buying and selling. It was like long-term committed people getting in and then slowly getting like new friends in and big investors. So I think one of them ran to like 20 million, the other ran to like 30 million. We also try to give like strategic advice to those companies. And we're currently looking for other coins similar to those. And it's interesting. We actually don't add like a large amount of people to their Telegram. We find like a small number of high paying long term investors because like you were saying before, a lot of people are launch focused, so you could get people to like flood in a coin but they flood right out. Like by targeting our marketing at like how this coin generates revenue, provides value, what makes it different, what makes it special, and then making like the marketing fun and exciting, kind of like the angel posters you might have seen us post today. We find that we can attract like a pretty good number of like high net worth investors to these revenue generating coins.
Yeah, your content is definitely eye catching. My second question was, I spoke with Spartan yesterday. I asked him if there was a pre-sale for the BSC side. He said no, but he did say that the ETH side would benefit, of course, due to the bridge. So in a way, that's going to be a pre-sale, for the ETH side. So I don't know. It probably kind of leads into what Zaz was saying, but I don't know if I could explain it in a way, or if I could even compute it. I think I got it, but for everyone else, could you explain or verbalize how is that? How would that act as a pre-sale? How would the ETH side act as a pre-sale to the BSC side?
No problem. I can speak to that a little, and then Psychor could correct me if I'm wrong. And one point of information we should throw out there is we decided because the Samurai RBXS has a complex payment system. We weren't going to completely merge with RBX yet. We're like partners and we're merged, but RBX is a separate token, and RBXS, the marketing arm of RBX, still has its own token. So now that we got that, we're bridging to the BSC side, which means we're not adding any additional supply and we're not creating a new token. You're just able to buy a single token on ETH or BSC. So if you're buying the ETH right now, even, it's kind of the pre-sale to the BSC launch tomorrow. And Psychor, you can correct me if that doesn't match up with.
Yeah. So that's why. So with these launches on multiple chains, I have a tendency where I'd like to call them expansion versus launches, because what we're doing is just opening up the market, oh crap, it's not market share, but like the market potential, the potential market for people to buy in or hold the token. So yeah, but what it does is it just lets more people. There's people that just simply do not interact on the Ether side, and they exclusively use BSC or they exclusively use AVAX, Phantom, Matic, etc. So we're giving them an opportunity to also participate. But yeah, it's the same supply. In fact, from a technical level, it's the listing that happens on the BSC side comes from the existing supply that's on Ether. So we're actually bridging over the tokens that we have on the Ether side in order to list the coin on BSC.
But Kay, you actually mentioned one of our biggest weaknesses. After you've been in crypto like a few years, you start to forget that when you first enter crypto, like nothing makes sense to you and everything's a little confusing. So like in our posters and in our pins and everything we do, we kind of gotta like spell it out, because even when we first learned about like the bridging and are we going to be launching a new coin or does it just bridge to the old coin, it like even confused us a bit until we understood all the details. So like to communities who are used to just buying like an ETH coin or a BSC coin, that's what they're expecting, is like you're launching a BSC version, which is just going to be a new coin. We've even had like several call groups tell us, like, we know what you're doing and we understand it, but none of our community will understand. So just market this as a BSC launch so people will buy it, because there is a lot of confusion to this. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say people in general don't understand. So yeah, that's from the public facing standpoint, it's definitely, I mean, it's a launch. It's the easiest way to understand it. But
Keep it simple.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I also wanted to just ask, because one of our committee members, he's not here at this point. He's not able to speak, but he did want, well, first he looked at the contract, and he did say that, you know, everything looks good. It doesn't look like there's a copy and paste. But he did want to know, how much do you charge for your services? If that's something you didn't answer yet, how do you get paid? Because he said you all have a lot of services. So he wanted to ask that question. How do you all get paid? And how much do you charge? If you can release that information.
So do you want that on the RBX side of the DeFi products and services, or was he asking about like the marketing services?
Well, he said you have a lot of services. So example of copy, they written content they created. He says examples of copy you've written, content you've created, and contracts you've developed besides your own. So no, I think he just wants to know everything. Just basically, I guess for the marketing, how much do you charge? And I guess that's how you all get paid. But are there other ways that you pay, and how much do you charge?
So we've worked for a few like smaller charities where they don't have a lot of extra like capital, and we could kind of use a part of our team to work for them for like ETH or small USD payments, maybe let's say around $10,000, and then some amount of supply, going all the way up to working for a coin at a low market cap and helping it grow to a large market cap and getting approximately like 5% of supply and then dripping it off. And there's a lot of in-betweens. We usually just meet with a token and find out what they're looking for and provide the services they need. And in the past, we tried to do like 1 month engagements for a large amount of supply and use our entire team. More recently, we're using pieces of our team to kind of handle smaller contracts if we really trust and like the devs and they seem legitimate and fair.
So the answer is call us. We'll reach out and talk first.
Thank you.
Yeah, it definitely varies a lot what we get paid.
Thank you, Oracle.
You're welcome.
Are there any more questions from the committee? All right. So I have one final question. and then I'll let you guys go. So is there any strategy in, which chain you decide to release on between Matic and AVAX from our previous questions?
I think Sycor has the best details on which chains.
I'm sorry, I was typing and I didn't quite catch that one.
No worries. In terms of what, deciding which chain you launch on first between Matic and AVAX, is there any preference there on your side?
Oh yeah. So I keep track of the overall volume on the major chains and even the ones that aren't. I kind of have to do that. It's just like 20 something chains. So so we boiled it down to like top 4, top 5. I would say that the next one would more than likely be AVAX. That's what we're targeting for RBX, and then RBXS will more than likely follow suit. It's been kind of a pretty close race between AVAX and Phantom as to what the next one would be. But the release, is going to be on both of those. It's just a matter of timing, and that means just over, it's just a difference of a few weeks or something. And Matic will definitely be on the launch schedule. It's just that their volume has been kind of waning a little bit. So we're just trying to maximize the impact that we can have, with the resources that we've got and time and stuff like that. But Matic definitely, I am a big fan of Matic or Polygon. I think that they're definitely pioneers, and they've got pretty good tech. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate the insight, and I totally agree. Keeping your eyes on how the chains are performing based on volume. You're only going to have a bigger total available market at the end of the day when you're going after something like that. So totally understand. But with that, is there any more questions from the committee? All right. Well, thank you guys very much for coming out tonight. I appreciate you guys coming prepared, and the costume was a great addition. So thank you very much for your time.